newsroom of the Bryant College Station Eagle. This is the Brazos Sports PrepsCast. And now, the Eagle High School sports team, Alex Miller and Jake Weiss.
What's going on, y'all? You're listening to the Brazos Sports PrepsCast. I'm Alex Miller from the Eagle, joined by Jake Weiss, the Eagles high school sports reporter. Jake, it's been a hot minute since we've had an episode, but I'm excited to get back and talk a little Brazos Valley High School football.
Yeah, I am too. It's funny. I don't think I can't remember the last time I was actually in the studio. Maybe December, maybe late November. Like it's like you said, been a minute.
It's been a minute, but of course, it's a great week to bring back the podcast because it's the annual state 7-on-7 tournament at Veterans Park in College Station this week, and there's 7 local area teams, including for the first time ever, all 4 Bryan College Station schools. Yeah,
I was gonna say that was pretty exciting to see. I know Rudder got in there, after the pools came out. So I think I was driving back from Houston and I saw your tweet that said, hey, all 4 are in. And I was like, all right, let's get this party started.
Well, hey, Jake, let's just go through real quick. Who's going to be there from Bryan College Station and the surrounding area this week?
Yeah, so we'll just start off with the 4 local Bryan College Station schools. We've got A&M Consolidated. They're kind of always there. This is their 12th straight appearance. They won it all, I think, in 2019. Is that right? So, yeah, they're going to be there. Bryan, bit of a surprise. It's first time since 2007, so it's been a while. But, they're happy to be back. I know they're excited. I was there at the qualifier. You were there, too.
I was.
Yeah, it was.
For a little bit, at least.
Yeah, kind of exciting there. The qualifying game was them versus Rudder, so that was pretty fun to see. I was out there. That was a fun one to watch. Then College Station as well. Even though College Station hosted that qualifier, thought it was kind of interesting. They had already qualified, so they couldn't make it out of pool play, so they just got some extra reps in their backyard. But once again, they're another one. You kind of know they're always going to be there. This is their 10th straight appearance, and they won it all in 2018. So both Consol and College Station, they got some history here. And then last off, like we kind of mentioned earlier, or I mentioned earlier, Rudder is making their first appearance ever. Prosper Round, was it Rock Hill?
Rock Hill. Yeah.
I was going to say Round Rock. Like, that's not right.
They're playing Round Rock.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. They withdrew on Sunday around like 9 p.m., I think is when.
It was pretty late.
Yeah, we saw that tweet, or we saw that news, I should say. So, yeah, Rudder's going to be there as well. And then in Division 2 and 3, you got Lexington, Cameron, Yo, and Hearn. Both of them, or all 3 of them, have been there before. Hearn's, been there quite a bit. You have the Yeomen, and then they'll kick off things on Thursday before those other 4 schools play on Friday.
Right. Well, hey, just a quick refresher of how this whole thing works. There's 64 teams in Division 1, 32 each in Divisions 2 and 3. All 3 of those divisions, they're split into pools of 4 teams. They play a round-robin style on day 1. So then, of course, the teams in Division 2 and 3, they play Thursday and Friday. Pool play Thursday, bracket play Friday. So Friday morning, those Division 2, Division 3 brackets, they're into all the teams. They go into a 32-team single elimination championship bracket. Games start at 8 a.m. And then on Saturday, Division 1, that's their bracket play. The top 2 teams in each pool, they advance to the championship bracket, and the 3rd and 4th place teams will play in the consolation brackets, and both of those are single elimination as well. 7-on-7, it's passing only. You can't rush the quarterback. Teams have 4 seconds to throw the ball. The field looks different, too. It's played on a 45-yard field. They're split into 3 15-yard zones. You have 3 downs to get a first down in the first 2 zones, and you have 4 downs in the 3rd zone, which is known as the goal-to-go zone. You have 4 downs to score. So it's pretty quick, too. There's 2 15-minute halves with a running clock, and at halftime, it's just hey, let's go get a quick shot of water and get back out there and flip it over. So
I'm so glad you went over that again. As someone who's going for the first time, everybody, when we went to that qualifier, I stuck to Alex like glue. I was like, please give me your knowledge, Sensei.
Well, it's been something that I've been to many a time. So I've seen the game evolve a little bit over the last few years. So, hey, it's summer. We're coming closer to the actual start of the fall season, but of course, there's some storylines to be had here this week, Jake.
Yeah, first one that I'm kind of interested in, I think a lot of people are probably interested, is with Brian. It's the first time since 2007, so kind of just looking at it from a 7-on-7 tournament perspective. What are they going to do? They're kind of playing with house money. They've, been a while since they've been here, so I feel like for them, pretty much whatever they go out and do is going to be good. So they can go make some noise. And something else I'm kind of looking at is, the quarterback situation. Malcolm Gooden, he was a senior last year, so obviously someone's got to fill in those shoes. And at that qualifier, I thought it was kind of interesting. Brian used kind of a 2-quarterback system. It's right now it's 2 kids who just moved in. We got Caldwell quarterback, Boone Turner. That might be a name some people are familiar with. He was there, and he's at Brian now. The other guy is Kason Bird. He's a senior. I'm blanking on where he's moved in from, but I know he's from a school in Texas, and I think his dad moved down here.
He was from the Houston area, was what I heard.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm blanking on the school. I apologize for that, but yeah, those 2 guys are, they split reps in the qualifying games, the pool games. Kind of interested to see kind of what shakes out there, what Coach Tellis and the Vikes kind of got cooking there.
Yeah, for Consol, when we were out at the College Station state qualifying tournament, Will Hargett wasn't able to play. He was in a boot, and that lent to their backup quarterback, Tyler Poling, got to get some reps there. Curious to see what the Tigers do at quarterback if Will's able to go on his road to recovery. But there's also some new faces on that defense. I'm really curious to see what the Tigers defense will look like this weekend.
And then kind of flipping gears there to the other school, in town, I know as they call it, College Station. Congrats to Arrington Maiden. He just committed to Memphis. And also, I forgot to mention him. We were talking about Brian. Congrats to Tyson Turner as well, who just committed to Texas Tech over the weekend. So, College Station's kind of really one of the only schools in town that, besides Consol, it's got the quarterback situation, set in stone at this point. But so really, I'm kind of looking at College Station's defense. They lost a lot of those guys from last year. It was a pretty senior group, so I'm interested to see what they've got there. I know they'll still have Tony Hamilton, and he's been kind of leading the way. But after that, it's kind of, we'll be learning some names and some faces this weekend, I'm sure. Another guy, too, that we've talked about before on the podcast over at Bremond is Braylon Wortham. And, he just moved in from Bremond to College Station, so I'm sure he'll be out there. I think he was out there in the qualifier. Was that right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I was about to say, and they've been using him at receiver? Is that right?
Receiver, a little bit of cornerback. So, he would be a big help on their defensive side potentially.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how kind of those pieces shake out a bit. Yeah,
and I realized I forgot to add in Rudder right here. That was a late addition, of course, but What are the Rangers going to do? Kind of like they're kind of playing with house money. They get in, and it's just a good chance to go out and compete. Rudder, they lost Kevin Holmes and Nate Figures to graduation, but of course they've got Jaquise Martin. I'm excited for people around the state to get to see him because I feel like he's a guy that's kind of flown under the radar. We obviously know about him covering Rudder here locally, but this will just be a good chance for the Rangers to go out there and, Coach Izar last year was really excited about some of their young talent that was coming up the pipe. And so definitely curious to see how the Rangers can fare this weekend.
Yeah, and I just want to make a quick add there on Rudder. I thought it was interesting. They went through spring ball for the first time ever since he's been there. So that was kind of interesting. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, and he pretty much just said, hey, a little bit of a kind of changed. They did spring ball this year just because it's an earlier start date for school. But he did mention, what something I kind of took note of was that he said, coming out of the spring, he felt like this is the best tackling Rudder's done. Obviously, there's no tackle in 7-on-7, but I'm interested to see how kind of they can keep the momentum, especially on the defensive end, kind of going forward there. Because gotta say, I watched a couple of their games at the qualifier and was pretty impressed with that defense. I was also gotta say Cody Billings, quarterback, taking over for Xavier Ramirez, who was a senior for Rudder last year. And want to give a quick shout out too to Randon Cooks. Wrote about him a lot during basketball season when Rudder was going on their run, but pretty impressed. He had a nice little touchdown against Brenham, and I know Coach Izar also told me that he was kind of their MVP in the spring game. So you mentioned Nate and Kevin. Kind of interested to see if he kind of fills in there at receiver and kind of shoulders the load a little bit there.
He was big on the Cooks twins last year.
Yeah.
What they potentially could do down the road. So they'll be able to get some reps in this week. So Hearn, hey, the Eagles, they're going to have a new quarterback too. Keyshawn Langham's graduated. We're curious to see how they'll look there. But as we know, the Eagles always have speed. That Eagle speed, it never fails. So, Jake.
Yeah, Cameron Yo's another one in Division II. They got a tough tough pool.
Yeah, they do.
I think you called it the pool of death, which I'm liking that nickname. So, yeah, can they get out of the pool of death? We don't know. It's going to be a tough challenge. They've got Decatur, Graham, and Carthage. Is that right?
Carthage, defending state champions.
Yeah, so that's a tough pool. But, I mean, hey, the Yeomen, they surprised last year, I thought, a couple games there. So who knows what's going to happen this time around.
And then, of course, Lexington got some great young talent. Quarterback Case Evans, he's really starting to show up on the scene. And then Joseph Kerr, younger brother of Jared Kerr, they're kind of the big duo. So curious to see if the Eagles can make a run. Jake, let's close out with this. Let's go with one game to watch for each team. I'm going to start with A&M Consolidated versus Crandall out of the Metroplex area. They're playing on Field 1A at 1:45 p.m. on Friday. We're going one game to watch in pool play, of course. Doing a little bit of research, Crandall, they've got a 6'4" wideout named Joshua Smith. He's got some Power 5 offers. This is gonna be a tough matchup for the Tigers starting out pool play. Get a good test early.
Yeah, I was about to say, you mentioned the that Consol defense, what they're gonna look like. That's a test for them. We'll get an early preview of what they look like after that one. So a game for Bryan that I'm really looking at is one we'll see in the fall as well, but it's Bryan versus Waller. It's on Friday, 2:30 p.m., Field 6B. Like I said, going to be a game we see in the regular season, so I'm sure there won't be, too many trick plays or any kind of surprises. Both coaching staffs are going to want to keep it, maybe close to the cuff there, but going to be an early glimpse of that. And then plus, we got Midlothian Heritage as well in that district, or that pool, excuse me, not district. Getting ahead of myself there, thinking of the fall. But, yeah, they're a tournament favorite by our friends at, I think, Dave Campbell's. They put that out, right? Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. So that could really be that Bryan and Waller game, not only a preview for the fall, but, hey, could be a game to see where you go in the bracket. Are you going to consolation or are you going to the championship bracket? Who knows?
One game I've got circled for College Station is their last game of the day against Everman on Field 12B at 4 o'clock on Friday. I think this could be for a pool title, Jake. The Cougars have been sharp in 7-on-7 action just by seeing some of their scores at these qualifying tournaments. Everman's a program on the rise. So, it wouldn't surprise me if it came down to this game, who gets one or two. And the Cougars definitely going to have to put their best foot forward against a couple of these DFW teams that they're going to face, also facing Flower Mount Marcus. I think that's going to also be a good game. They have a pretty just solid pool in general, in my opinion. But
another 4 o'clock game that I'm looking at is Rudder versus Clear Spring. That's going to be on 5B on Friday. It's kind of similar to what we're talking about with Bryan and a little bit of College Station. Not going to be a title game for Rudder or anything. We don't know yet anyway. But, something I'm just kind of curious about is for Rudder. I mean, that's the last game of the day. Where kind of are the chips going to fall? Are they, which kind of side of the bracket are they going? Are they, kicking butt and heading to the championship bracket? We won't know at that point yet, but it could be a game that we kind of, and even though we don't know where they'll be yet, it could be a game where it could be a difference maker. Which side of the bracket are you headed on? Just kind of hey, come out and see Rudder, their last game of the day. Just kind of see how the emotions are. I think just kind of an interesting game, just kind of an intriguing one on the board.
Hearn and East Bernard facing off at 2:30 on Thursday on Field 13B. If you've been around 7-on-7 for a while, you've heard these two names quite a bit. They're definitely two favorites in their pool. Both are stalwarts at the state tournament. And I guess the question here is, can Eagle Speed get it done? What's interesting is that East Bernard, in the fall, they're a run-oriented team that they'll run a variant of the slot T. So they have figured out how to do well in the 7-on-7 arena, but definitely curious to see how how this game shakes out. I think this is going to be a great matchup, Jake.
Man, you're giving me all the 4 o'clock games, it feels like. But another one I'm interested, Lexington, Gunter, Field 8B, 4 p.m. Thursday. Another one kind of similar to College Station where it could be a de facto pool title game. If Gunter sounds familiar, they won the 3A Division II state title last year. Going to be a favorite again this fall. So for Lexington, can they pull off a big win? I mean, I feel like Lexington was kind of a team that we talked a lot about we did talk a lot about them on the podcast, but I mean, I was pretty impressed with them last fall. I mean, I think they won double-digit games. I know they had kind of an earlier playoff exit than they would have liked, but I mean, it was a young team and they're pretty much bringing everybody back. So can Lexington pull off the big win, I guess is the question. But even if they don't pull off the big win, it's going to be a good game. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in. I've got circled.
Well, taking us home, Cameron Yo. I mean, honestly, Jake, you could pick any of Cameron's 3 games in pool play. It's that good. The one I've got circled though is their middle game. It's going to be on Field 8B Thursday at 3:15. They face Decatur. I think this one's worth watching because the Yeomen, they're going to have to defend Nate Palmer. He, of course, used to be at College Station his first 2 years. When Steve Huff got hired at Decatur, his dad was an assistant on the Cougar staff. Followed him up there to join the Eagles staff, and he tore it up last year, leading them to the state semifinals. And he just recently committed to TCU, coming off their national championship game appearance. And so, I think for both of those, a little bit of a local tie on the other side of the equation too. But I mean, Cameron, they're going to have their hands full all afternoon. This is going to be when coaches talk about they use 7-on-7 to compete. Cameron got that. There's no question about that. And so it's gonna be a tough afternoon for the Yeomen. If they can come away with some big wins, they should definitely feel proud of themselves.
I'm curious on that one if there's going to be a lot of not TCU purple, but College Station purple, especially on a Thursday. It's the day before that they have to play. So I'm curious if any College Station faithful will be coming out to support, Nate. I know he's not there anymore, but gonna be curious about that one.
This is also a place where coaches like to mingle, so I wouldn't be too surprised if there's a coach or two. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. But nonetheless, Jake, I know this will be your first state 7-on-7 tournament covering it, coming from the grand state of Alabama by way of Texas, of course. We do acknowledge that Jake is a native Texan.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing when people start asking too many questions, but I eventually sort it all out for them.
Nonetheless, Jake, state 7-on-7, I think, even though it's brutally hot, blistering hot, especially when you get on that turf, it's an awesome weekend of football because you get teams from all corners of the state. I mean, literally all corners of the state. When you think about El Paso, over to like Silsbee, you got teams down from the Valley, the Panhandle, all the way through the Triangle. I mean, you get a lot of cross-regional matchups that you probably don't really see during the regular season in the fall. Rudder, they're going to face Abilene, come from the big country. Bryan, they're going to face Weslaco. They come all the way from the Valley. College Station and Consol, they've got 2 Metroplex teams each in their pools. So it's just a really fun weekend of football, and it's cool to see a lot of the state's really top end athletes because remember, you have to qualify for this.
Yeah.
You can't just pay your way in and have just your own way into this. You actually have to earn a spot here. So as someone who has never been though, don't forget, Jake, it's going to be hot. You better wear your sunscreen. If you've never been, you should bring a lawn chair because there's really not a lot of seating other than at the turf fields. And even at that, the seating's not that great. It's a little bit away. I like to bring a little pool wagon, carry a little water cooler around. Definitely hydrate. If you haven't started hydrating already, you're already behind. Umbrellas are pretty common. I was talking with Travis Brown earlier, our A&M sports reporter. He'll be out there this weekend. He told me he was going to go buy Academy because he heard that they have these little clip-on things that you can put on your lawn chair and put your umbrella in, which I think is genius,
Wow.
by the way. And so bring a towel because you're going to sweat. Definitely don't wear pants. But nonetheless, all that said, it's going to be a fun weekend of football. And how neat, too, that all 4 local teams are in there, because I think that's just a testament to where football is here in Bryan College Station right now.
Yeah, I mean, like we said at the beginning of the show, it's the first time that's ever happened that all 4 have been in. So, yeah, I mean, just going to be fun to go watch. I mean, everybody's guaranteed at least, 4 games? Is that right?
Yeah, guaranteed 4 games at minimum. So
yeah, so, I mean, that's going to be a lot of football. I mean, I know they're all kind of playing at the same time, but if people can just come out, come watch, it's going to be, sounds like, I mean, I know I haven't been, but it's going to be a fun weekend, I'm pretty sure.
Well, Jake will be out there. Travis will be out there Thursday and Friday. I might get out there Saturday if I'm lucky. I'm hoping to get out there a little bit for the championship bracket play on Saturday morning for Division I. But nonetheless, follow all of our coverage at theeagle.com. Follow Jake and Travis on Twitter for live updates and maybe some fun interviews with some of these players. Summertime's a great time to just interview some of the players because they're relaxed, they're loose, they're with their buddies, they're having fun. And, 16, 17-year-olds give some funny answers sometimes. So, all right, Jake, I think that's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah, I've got my checklist here of things you just said. I got lawn chair, sunscreen, cooler, umbrella, hat. So I think some of those I might have to go out and to the store and get, but I'm going to be hitting up the Academy on Wednesday. So hopefully pays off.
All right. We'll be back next time. Until then, see you.